Good afternoon. It is such an honor to speak to you all at this wonderful event. I especially want to thank the Cornelissen family for giving me the opportunity to talk about how Marc Cornelissen inspired me and the work that I continue to do today. I hope my words will touch all of you in supporting you to continue the work that you do in addressing the many challenges facing humanity. I want to start by first explaining the rather strange way that I met Marc. It started with a dream. I had been studying as a PhD student in environmental science and engineering in Ireland, conducting research on the rather unfortunate topic of livestock waste management. Not a particularly aromatic field, to put it politely, but a very pressing issue in places like Ireland, where I live, where animal agriculture is a predominant industry. This was around the time that Al Gore had released his award-winning climate change movie, An Inconvenient Truth. And when I saw that film and the credits rolled, I cried. I cried because I realized that climate change was such an enormous challenge, and I felt so powerless in being able to do anything about it. Later that week, I had a dream where someone important to me came to me and told me I needed to do something about climate change. And I remember getting really angry in the dream and arguing with them and saying, I don't know anything about this topic and I can't do anything to fix it. And that feeling of anger and frustration stayed with me long after I woke up. So when I saw the ad for Ben & Jerry's Climate Change College asking young people if they wanted to go to the Arctic with Marc to learn about the problem and do something in their own countries to fix it, I felt like I was meant to apply, even though I was the oldest applicant in the program and definitely not someone in good enough physical condition and for polar exploration. That's why I was a bit intimidated when I met Marc, because he was fearless and intelligent and everything you'd imagine a polar explorer to be, everything I wasn't. He was also way ahead of the curve with respect to communication, and he had us blogging and filming everything long before smartphones and social media made it easy to do these things. So thanks to Marc's forward thinking, rather than have me describe our expedition, I can show you this short video that he made of the trip explaining Ben & Jerry's Climate Change College.
Seeing the Arctic change over more than 10 years, I thought it was time to initiate the Ben & Jerry's Climate Change College, because I think it's really important to involve the next generation.
Ben & Jerry's Climate Change College is a project that allows young people in Europe to have funding and a business tutorial and a crash course in environmental studies, and to create a project in their own locality to combat climate change.
The changes that are taking place are huge. It's the biggest problem facing our world today.
All our students have a personal campaign in their own environment.
What I'm doing is motivating Irish homeowners to do DIY projects in their homes in an environmentally friendly way.
I had the opportunity to go here to the Arctic, to northern Alaska, to witness what's happening to the climate.
The Arctic Ocean changed dramatically recently. The 10-year-old ice is gone. It's now all just like mostly 1 or 2 years old.
I feel scared to go down on the ice. It's thinner and it's not normal.
We have 3 glaciers that are today 3 glaciers. Not so long ago they were only 1.
Permafrost is thawing. It's actually warming up and thawing beneath the lakes. And we estimate that the amount of methane that can come out of lakes is 10 times the amount of methane that's right now in the atmosphere.
It's just been a real eye-opener meeting all these people and witnessing all these changes.
In the news, we always hear about how climate change will affect people, but here we see that it's happening right now.
There is awareness, but we have to make the next step if it comes to cutting the emission of greenhouse gases.
It's important for regular people to start to make a change in how we're doing our business and living our everyday lives.
For a year, we trained with Marc and his Essentials colleague, Michelle Sherman. Hi, Michelle. I hear you're in the audience, and I just want to say I miss you. In that year that we trained with Marc and Michelle, Marc taught me to be much more daring in my communication. I used to feel constrained to talk about climate change with a serious environmental scientist hat on, and that only experts could talk about climate change. But Marc was the first to point out how much more important it is to communicate in a way that touches people and makes them feel something and really connect to the issue of climate change on an emotional level. Our trip to the Arctic allowed us to talk about how seeing climate change actually happening right in front of us, how that made us feel. And that then elicited an emotional response in the people we were talking to. This is exactly what Marc had planned when he came up with the idea of bringing young people to the Arctic. It's no surprise that many of us went on to keep doing work in sustainability, and we credit Marc with lighting that match in us. So much so that when I told my former climate change college classmates that I was giving this address, they all wanted to share how Marc had inspired them too. So I'll let them explain.
Hi, it's Erika, Climate Change College class of 2007. After all these years, I'm still wearing the gear, still towing the line, talking to people about how they can do their part in combating climate change. Big thank you to Marc and to Philip for giving us the opportunities that you did, and we hope to do you proud, and we think about you every day. Your legacy lives on.
Anyone who ever knew Marc, anyone who ever met Marc, will know what an incredibly generous, kind, passionate, hard-working, but probably above all, fun man he was. He's the kind of guy that walks into a room and you might not know why, but you knew you wanted to be around him. And I feel incredibly privileged and fortunate to have spent the time that I did with him, and for the positivity and confidence that he instilled in me to do what I wanted to do. That's still part of me today, and I always want that part of Marc within me. He may be gone, but he will never be forgotten.
The first time I met Marc was in Holland in the final of the Climate Change Ambassador role. We went for a walk to discuss my campaign, and I remember he lit the biggest and coolest cigar ever. I was so nervous talking to him, but he made me feel completely at ease, and he made me feel like I could change the world. He continued to support me for years to come, and he was one of the first people to suggest that I set up my own consultancy, which I did, and I am still now working in sustainability and making the world a better place thanks to him. I miss him. I think about him often. I miss him for his advice and for his talks and for the time drinking and having the crack with him. So I just want to raise my glass. This is lemonade because I'm actually heavily pregnant at the moment. But Sláinte Marc, I hope you're exploring wherever you may be.
Hi everyone, Filipe from Portugal here. Just to say that, more than 10 years ago, I had the unique pleasure to actually travel with Marc to Alaska and live this amazing adventure. And somehow his stories are still part of the narrative I tell myself and I tell others when I go into nature and I go into the mountains. So it's his memories and his adventures live within me, within us. And he was like a mentor, passing confidence, passing trust, passing adventure, and this kind of the pursuit of our passions into the natural world.
Ever since I met Marc Cornelissen back in the climate change college days, I was immediately inspired by the guy. He taught me about honesty, he taught me about perseverance, and up until this day, I still hail his words, saying literally, dare to choose, dare to live, words to live by. Thanks so much, Marc.
It's been more than a decade since many of us have trained with Marc, and yet it's clear from those contributions that he's still making a tremendous impact. We've all faced setbacks and challenges as we've pursued our dreams. Climate change is an emotionally difficult topic, and that makes it hard sometimes. But for many people, including many of you, I imagine, this year has been a huge setback for a variety of reasons. In such times, I've drawn motivation from Marc's words as an explorer. It's essential to keep moving forward. One step in front of the other, inspiring those we meet on the way, growing engagement in the global challenges facing humanity, just as Marc did and continues to do. Thank you.